Hey, good evening, everybody. Christie Hutcherson with Women Fighting for America on the front lines and in the fight every day for you, the American people. Tonight, I wanted to give an update on what happened on February 27th about the WHO treaty. And we're also going to have a candid conversation with a concerned mom, business and a professional out of Texas. She's been on here before, and that is Kristen. And she is just an incredible woman also in Texas fighting for America. We're going to open this up at the end of the brief to questions. So please, please, please start typing your questions right now in the chat room, because we're going to bring you on and we're going to answer your questions to the best of our ability. And also, if you have something to report, you can also put something in the chat line as well. So with that being said, really quick on the update. Yes, no surprise, we signed the treaty. This administration, Biden's administration. Actually, what's really funny, I have to, Kristen, I don't know if you were listening to the press secretary the other day, but this is fantastic because, again, this tells you the plans of the left. They can't help themselves. They always slip up.
Yes.
And they always tell us
constantly. I missed this one. I better blunders.
Tell you who's really in control.
She said President Obama. I know.
She instead of saying the President Biden, she said President Obama. Ding, ding, ding. Because what did Obama, what did he say?
And it's not like she was around in his administration. It's not like she's a younger person. She's newer to this whole game. It's not like she's been saying that for a decade and then just slipped. It was so obvious.
No, she was telling the American people and the world who truly is in charge again. You know, it reminds me of way back. I don't even know. I think it was almost a year ago. I don't know. It was maybe over the summer. But when Biden had that gaffe moment where he looked lost and he didn't know where he was. And Obama was on the podium and the president of the United States podium, and everybody was gogging and surrounding the real president. Because what did Obama say? He said, I want a third term from my basement. And that's on a serious note. That's exactly what we're getting, everybody. We have a anti-American running the show from his basement. And this is dangerous ground. It's actually unconstitutional, unlawful, and it's treasonous. And we, the American people, need to start engaging to take back our country. And tonight, I'm going to give you the answers on how to do that. So the treaty went into effect. It has been signed, and it's signed under what's called a provisional treaty, an executive provisional treaty, which circumvents right now the authority to get approval from the Senate. And I'm going to talk to you guys about right now what you're going to hear in the media, because the Associated Press has put out statements. You're probably going to hear these basically puppets of also the Communist Party, the left, spouting out, just like they did COVID, just like they did with the unconstitutional mandates and the jabs and all that stuff. So you could put this poison in your body. They did the same thing. They propagated this stuff. And if you're not understanding where this came from, this was a tactic that the Nazis used. When you control the press, you control the media, you control the narrative, and you can push a whole lot of stuff on the American people, because unfortunately, most people are gullible and they believe what they hear on social media or the television set. And we're going to set the record straight tonight. This is going to go into effect, and it is unconstitutional, but it does give control over to the WHO. And I'm going to explain to you guys in a little bit how. And I did notice that somebody from Oklahoma is watching. Yes, Texas and Oklahoma. I'm very proud that you guys have two brave attorney generals who are standing up and trying to fight back against this unconstitutional treaty.
I am from Oklahoma and I live in Texas, so I couldn't be prouder. And I am a part of a women's organization in Oklahoma, and those women were furious about who they were calling. They were all over it. They're calling the governor and the attorney general nonstop, and watching all of what's happening. And it takes this, as much as it feels so frustrating, Christy. You keep telling us, no, you have to keep calling, even though it seems pointless. You have to keep calling. We have to thank the attorney generals of Texas, Ken Paxton. I don't know the attorney general's name in Oklahoma, but we need to thank them for what they're doing and still call out the others, right? It still matters, right?
Yep. Absolutely. Kristen, and what I'm going to ask everybody to do, we're going to put together a thank you letter to the attorney generals and also to those 17 brave senators who also are fighting back against this treaty. There are some people who do understand that this really is real and that it does circumvent the Constitution, and it gives away all of your health freedoms and liberties to an international unconstitutional body. And so we have to push back. Julie is on the line and she's monitoring everything. I have to ask you something, Julie, if you could type it in there. You said that they're censoring us currently right now. If Facebook and social media are censoring us, this is the truth. Whenever they try to censor you and stop free speech and truth, and they're not wanting you to hear this message, it's because we are hitting it right on the nail on the head. Yeah. So Attorney Ken Paxton, and I actually have met Ken Paxton numerous times. Him and I've had private conversations, him and his wife, and he is fighting very hard for the state of Texas. So I'm going to read to you guys really quick what this does. Texas and Oklahoma are suing the WHO. And if the AP and the Associated Press are trying to tell you that this isn't true, why would the attorney generals and why would 17 senators waste their time and energy, and by the way, money, to try to fight this if it wasn't reality and that it really does take away your health freedoms? The Department of Health and Human Services, they're suing our Department of Health and Human Services because Xavier, who heads this department up, is the one who helped craft and draft this treaty to get around and circumvent the Constitution. I'm going to ask Congress right now, Kevin McCarthy, there's two things I want you to do. Actually, there's three things I want you to do. First and foremost, you need to start putting these individuals up for immediate firing and impeachment. Every single office head, including from the border to the HHS, if they are circumventing the Constitution and breaking our own laws, they need to be removed from office. And I mean ASAP, and replaced immediately. Every day that you sit on your hands is every day we are being sold out, and it's going to be irreparable soon. Two, I want Kevin McCarthy and this Congress to defund the WHO. We have no business being the #1 provider of finances. By the way, 2 is Bill Gates Foundation. 3 is China. Surprise, surprise. This administration is a puppet to both. And so we need to exit the WHO. We need to exit the United Nations, and we need to defund these immediately. Congress holds the purse strings, and they need to act, and they need to act now. So everyone listening to this evening, you need to put serious pressure on them. And I know sometimes it feels like it goes on deaf ears. And what I need you to do is I need you to write, phone, email, write, phone, email, even if you think it's not being heard. Believe me, if millions and millions and millions of Americans flooded their offices with emails, with letters, and with phone calls consistently, day in and day out, they will have to take heed and listen. So that's one of the things you can do. The other thing that you can do is, just like Attorney General Ken Paxton and the Attorney General in Oklahoma, we need to contact every single state attorney general and ask them to do the very same thing and join. They don't have to create a new one. They can simply join the current lawsuit that Ken Paxton and the Attorney General of Oklahoma did. And you need to say, we're not going to follow these unconstitutional orders from an international body like the WHO when a pandemic is declared. So if you don't understand what this pandemic is and what this treaty is, and the liberties that are given over to the WHO. If you go to Women Fighting for America's website, that's WFFA, please write this down, WFFA.WIN. It's right there underneath where I'm speaking, right down below. You will find it under resources. Click resources, and then you will see the WHO treaty. And by the way, a couple other really great things. So please engage. Kristen, I'm so glad that you live in Texas because you do have some fighters there. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Abbott's, but you know, because I think he's a Band-Aid governor, but you do have some individuals who are really fighting.
I agree. I found the name of the Attorney General in Oklahoma, by the way, is Gettr Drummond.
Drummond.
Yes. Yeah. So we need to thank him too. No, I agree. I'm happy to see that Ken did that. Ken was under a lot of heat. You know, the left went after him. So I'm so thrilled that he's back and made it through the election and being strong. So it's really good. And, you know, so many people in the comments here are talking about that they were fact checked. And I mean, I know these people you have such this incredible following. These people are warriors, right? They're all talking about their calling. Somebody said we put up the wrong number for Kevin McCarthy. I'm so sorry if that's the case. Thank you for correcting it. We'll fix that. People are talking about the fact that, you know, constantly they're getting fact checked. They're sharing it. They're doing this. You know, I mean, again, go to the website, you can just go directly to WFFA.win/WHO, and you can see the treaty right there for your own eyes. We don't need fact checkers to tell us whether this is true or not. You can tell the fact checkers, if you look at who the fact checkers are, it's terrifying. Like, the fact checkers are not people that should be checking any facts anywhere, right? It's terrifying behind that. So these people are so trust yourself, trust what we're putting out there. We would never put false information. This is the actual document from the actual WHO. You can read it with your own eyes.
Absolutely. And you know, I always laugh about fact checkers because I'm a fact checker, right? I have a brain. I think for myself. I have fingers. I know how to get on and research myself, truth or not, and figure out if it's fictional or if it's real, right?
Yeah.
And so we're all fact checkers. That's just their way, again, of being the thought police, right? That's another way for them to circumvent our First Amendment rights. And again, we the people, we need to start pushing back against this. Everybody who's on Facebook, everybody who's listening right now and who are going to listen to this message on replay, we have other social media platforms. We're trying to move over to Truth Social. We're moving over to Rumble. We're moving over to a couple other platforms. Again, if you go to our website, please join up there. The reason why I still am on Facebook and things like that is because I have almost 80,000 followers. So I need all you 80,000 plus individuals to start migrating over to our other social media so you get this message out. And the other thing I want to do is we're going to write a letter of thank yous. Women Fighting for America is going to write a letter to all of the attorney generals and those 17 individuals to thank them for what they're doing. What I'd like to do is have your signature on that as well. So we're going to put up something, Kristen, it might take 24 hours or so, 48 hours to get that up.
Yes.
But I want you guys to go to our website, keep going back to our website. We're updating it every day. We're going to have a lot of new information on there. We're going to have a lot of ways that you can get involved. We want you to be the citizen's voice. We want to hear from your communities, what you're seeing, what you're hearing. So there's going to be a lot of things rolling out over the course of the next several weeks. And if you have any of these skill sets, if any of you out there are extremely, extremely knowledgeable and good with social media and websites and all of those technology things that, by the way, is way over my head. My team absolutely
God gave Christie the courage to go to the border and all of these things that most of us, I mean, I could never do that. But what he gave, while he was giving her all of those skills, he was not giving her technology skills. I can attest to that.
But I have a hard time even going live on my cell phone. It's really
but you're doing great. But I do think so. It is a good point that I see people asking us for Truth Social. So I'm so thrilled. We just set that up this week. So we're going to be posting more on there. We look to see if we could go live on there as well. We're going to give us a little bit. We're trying to get all that figured out. And then if you're not signed up for email, the way to sign up for email is to go to text 91776, which is at the homepage. Please sign up for email. We essentially, the organization has been sending very sparsely. We are going to start next week sending very resourceful, very on point additional information that you can forward. We're not going to spam you and send you too much information. And we'll probably be posting on here to make sure, because those spam filters like to catch conservatives and send them into spam. Even Christie, a lot of the messages that I signed up for you after I text 91776, most of those went to my spam, both on my Yahoo and my Gmail. So you all just help try to watch, but we're going to send that information. So I know it feels overkill. I'm sure you all are signed up for so many different things, but we will really handle this very well, I promise. And Christie will be sending lots of great resources for you going forward.
Yeah, and I'm also reading some Tracy Marie. I was reading your post just now. And if that's not Kevin McCarthy's number, we apologize. We need to find out, hey, does anybody have, Julie, is that the new, the number that you just posted? Is that his actual number?
Yeah.
We want to make sure we have that accurate information.
Maybe
Facebook is going to take me down. They don't, it's really interesting. They don't have the balls to take me down on my actual site, because I live in Florida and I will sue the crap out of them immediately if they try to do so, because they're not allowed to under the executive order that DeSantis wrote with Facebook. But they shadow ban the heck out of me. I promise you. They start. A lot of people say that we signed up, and I haven't heard from you, Christie, in months and months and months. It's because they shadow ban. That's the reason why it's really important that everybody start moving over and away from Facebook and go to Rumble and all of these other channels, because we're going to broadcast on multiple platforms because of this very thing. So
right.
Again, the WHO treaty. So I'm going to talk about this. And so how this is able to happen, because everyone's kind of confused. I got an email about KrisAnne Hall, and I know KrisAnne Hall, by the way. She's a great constitutionalist, but they're wrong on this. I know a couple, Alfie Oakes and I were talking in a text thread, and his buddies, they're all wrong. And I'm going to tell you why they're wrong. Because there was an Obama era, imagine that, Obama era rule, which grants the WHO the authority to determine and define what a public health emergency is for domestic purposes. However, the media, of course, will insist that this is not true and that this isn't going to happen and that they won't have sovereignty over the United States. But it is true. We have seen when the WHO, when they worked during the pandemic, everyone caved to the WHO. Or did the WHO cave to the CCP in the West? It doesn't matter which way it was. The WHO gave the lockdowns, the masks, the vaccine passports legitimacy, folks. And so what's going to happen under the influence of the WHO, which, by the way, is controlled by the CCP, that's their main influencer. If they say that there's a new pandemic, right? And you're already starting to hear this, bird flu, Marburg virus, all of these other things that are coming down the pipe. What it does, it gives a massive amount, tremendous amount of power to the WHO, where they can now say, you American citizens will be on lockdown starting from this date and until they decide that you cannot be on lockdown, right? They can tell you have to stay in your home. They can tell you that you have to close your businesses. You have to wear masks. You can't fly. You have to have a vaccine passport now to travel throughout the world. They can tell you what medicine you can and cannot take. They can tell your doctors and hospitals and urgent care what treatments you can and cannot have. You will not be able to get anything that you feel is the right treatment for you, right? That's what this does. So it's part of this whole globalist elite agenda, including the World Economic Forum, under the disguise of climate change, open borders, climate change, this treaty, all of this has to do with circumventing the Constitution of the United States of America and taking away your freedoms and your rights right underneath your nose.
It's all so much, Christie. It feels, I have so many friends that are feeling so defeated right now. They're feeling like I've heard so many people lately say, they're just going to cheat the vote. The vote doesn't matter. They're not going to listen to me. These congressmen and senators I've been blackmailed. It doesn't matter. They're just essentially giving up.
Yeah. We can't give up. That's what they want you to do. There's a lot of the reasons why the left doesn't stop, right? The communists don't stop. They keep coming and they keep coming. There's a reason why we're being assaulted on multiple fronts. And this is what this is. This is an assault, right? It's war. We've been in war. We just haven't realized that World War III broke out. And it's not just about Ukraine, because Ukraine is part of the globalist agenda. Everyone thinks Zelensky is this great guy. I would bid you guys to go, I'm going to ask you and challenge you guys to go start looking at Zelensky. The previous administration, the Obama administration, literally with the Clintons, helped to overthrow a legitimate Ukrainian government, and they put Zelensky in, who was their handpicked puppet. Make no mistake, this is all well thought out and planned. And when you swim in the circle of both the military and the political realm, those are the insiders know all of this information. The American people are just now trying to catch up with all of this, and it's pretty overwhelming. And they're hitting everybody in all fronts, whether it's the attack on your children in the school systems, with the teachers unions, the LGBTQ, the satanic clubs, after school programs, then you've got the small businesses being locked down under COVID. You had that 2+ years of COVID bullcrap, right? Lies. And so then you move into Ukraine, the war in Ukraine, over a year now going on. And so you see and then you have inflation, you have the stock market crashing. They're trying to usher in a global currency, a digital currency for the United States. And you're like, oh my God, I don't even know what to do, Kristen. I don't know what to do. We can't keep up, right?
Yeah.
And it's relentless. So America, you guys need to pull up your big boy and girl pants. You need to strap on those boots. And you gotta realize we are in a long haul fight for the heart and soul of our country and the heart and soul of our nation. We cannot get tired. I've been on the road for over 3 years, Kristen. I've been fighting literally in the trenches in the battle for 3 years. If you guys looked at, I have Delta flight and airline different stewardesses. They literally look at my flights. They're like, this is in 1 year. And that doesn't include the automobiles that I drive in and all of the other transportation ways that I go out there in the field. I get tired.
You have to, Chrissy. You've been to the border over 40 plus times, for 40 plus missions. You've driven the 2,000 miles plus of the southern border. You've been to most of the northern border. It's really unreal. You're inspiring all of us that we have to keep pursuing. You continuing to go, you continuing to fight for the children. What's happening at the border is inspiring to all of us. And, it really is. I think at the end of the day, whenever we think, okay, well, we can call Kevin McCarthy, but he's, really going to do whatever he wants. We can't think that way, because it's about the children. The WHO situation is about our children. My daughter, before all of COVID, my daughter received the HPV vaccine. And I did research into it. It was many years ago when she was younger. They give you 3, they give them at different times across the hormones, 9, 11, and 14 were the ages where she received it. So her hormones are changing. She all of a sudden became extremely ill. No doctors could diagnose it. I've taken her to over 100 different unique doctors. I've taken her to Mayo Clinic. Took me forever to get anybody to admit that it actually came from the HPV vaccine. Now the tides are starting to change. I finally had 2 doctors of the 100 that admitted it. I just did a call with somebody the other day, and they immediately said, wow, did you get this from the HPV vaccine? I nearly fell out of my chair because the tides are changing. And so whether it's that vaccine, other vaccines, whether it's anything that the evil WHO could come up with, they're mandating this to our children. it's destroying their lives. It's not
Well,
okay.
it's part of the plan. We're going to talk about this and we're going to kind of go there. You got the CDC, you got Big Pharma, which, the CDC and the FDA and Big Pharma were never meant to be in bed with each other. They were supposed to be regulatory agencies keeping checks and balances to make sure corruption didn't happen. And then now you've got Big Pharma, and I'm going to connect the fourth dot. You've got Big Pharma with lobbyists in Washington, D.C., who have a massive amount of influence on all of your congressional members, as well as the Senate, and including the White House, via huge funding and donations, right? And so when you start looking at this corruption, this corrupt system, it is really embedded, and it's very, very deep. I'm going to be honest with you. The only way, in my opinion, that we're going to get rid of all of this corruption is we have to go back to the Constitution of the United States of America, where we, the people, are actually in charge. They don't teach that anymore. And most Americans, I would say 99% of all Americans, don't even understand their constitutional rights, let alone have they read them or even can spout maybe more than two, right? And that's typically the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. The rest they don't really understand. So we've got to get back to the basics, everybody. America, you got to understand what your constitutional rights are. Then you need to understand what your constitutional duty is. And our founding fathers, they knew that men can be corrupted, and that we would probably have a time in this country where the government sold the American people out and stopped believing in the Constitution. And it is now our duty and our right to replace an unjust government, a government that does not serve natural law nor the Constitution. So we have a right and a duty to replace the government that no longer is serving the Constitution of the United States of America. And by the way, we can do this peacefully. We're going to tell you how to do that. You need to become a member of Women Fighting for America. I'm going to start having more in-depth conversations with you, with guests. I've already got an incredible lineup. We've got everything from constitutional sheriffs to incredible Dr. Judy Mikovich, some incredible doctors, Stella Emanuel, some incredible doctors. You're going to be able to ask questions too, live. You're going to be able to get real live answers to your questions. People from all over the world who are experts in their field, who I've been blessed that God has put in my path, but that I want to now share this with you so you can understand what your rights are, what you need to prepare for, how you need to prepare, and for what is coming. Because we are going to face some serious hardships, and you need to understand how to prepare for yourselves, your family, and how to protect yourselves and your community, and then also to take back the Constitution and ultimately America in a peaceful way.
Christie, you talk about the Constitution, and one of the things you have in your Take Action plan on your website talks about buying copies of the Constitution. I think that it's it's a few dollars. We have a link on your website. It's very small. It makes a lot of sense. How are America? They're going to start changing it, just like the fact checkers are coming in and saying that the facts aren't true, that are true. Our children aren't going to have those. So you talk about buying them, giving them to your children, giving them to your grandchildren. I think it's one of the best things that anybody can do.
Yeah. And, I'm going to take a moment because I really want to, there's a lot of comments coming down. So thank you, Julie, for putting them where I can actually read them. That's incredible. So John Garcia, yeah, we do need to pray. And yes, by the way, Purim is Tuesday night. This is the weekend that Esther really petitioned the Lord to protect Israel. She went to the king, and there was if you don't know the book of Esther, you don't understand the story, please do. She was a warrior. She was a general. And I've been equated, I'm nothing like an Esther, but I'm very honored at the Warrior Bride Conference in Tennessee this weekend. I'm being given an Esther Award, and it's probably the most, and I'm not in this for the accolades, but I will take that every single day because we are a warrior. We are in the fight. We are called to pray, but I don't want everybody to misconstrue what the next action step is. Because God says prayer without works is dead, means nothing. So you need to pray, and then you need to put on your full armor, your battle gear. You need to become a warrior, and you need to be battle ready for this time. And on our website, Women Fighting for America, it tells you exactly how to become battle ready. What are we to prepare for, Jamie? So, Jamie, we need to prepare for several things. We are going to have new pandemics. They're going to try this. You've got climate change issues coming in. They are meeting again in Davos, Switzerland in May. By the way, grace be to God, if that's where he wants me. I plan to go live from Davos, Switzerland in May, because these evil leaders who are getting together, they are planning the demise of America and ultimately ushering a globalist world. And you need to understand from truth, from somebody on the ground there, how they're doing it, what they're going to be doing, and what their plans are. So if God grants me the financials to be able to go to Davos, I'm going to be going to Davos live. Yeah, I love the Book of Esther. It's a great book. And so there was a couple other questions. What we prepare for, again, we're going to talk to you guys about what you actually need. Women Fighting for America has developed a bug out bag. If you don't know what a bug out bag is, it's basically your go-to bag that you always have in your car, it's always prepared. It's typically 72 hours of all of the supplies you need to survive. We're going to kind of take it a step further, and we're going to show you how to not just have a 72-hour bug out bag, but what you really do need in that bag. We're going to be selling those bags on our website very, very soon. So please look for that store. I'll give you guys an update on the tunnel. Carl is asking me, Christy, did you speak about the tunnel? I just got back from Yuma, Arizona, and I'm actually going to be going back again to the border to do some other work. I got a call today from one of the police departments there. I can't get into it right now, but they've asked for my expertise and my help from Women Fighting for America and our team, because again, we have gentlemen with very special skill sets, and we do get asked by the police departments and Border Patrol to come and assist and help from a public-private partnership with some of these things. The tunnel down in Yuma, Arizona is still there. They're still investigating that tunnel, supposedly. But what's interesting about that particular tunnel, even some of the police department heads that I was speaking to, they were telling me that they had no idea that this tunnel existed. And again, I believe the reason why there's a lot of mixed information within the departments is because there's a cover-up going on. I'm going to just say it right there. I believe there's a cover-up. This tunnel is highly sophisticated. This tunnel has incredible stuff in it. We went live when the federal agents were actually physically there. We went live when the scientists were there. We went live when they were investigating it from the 3-letter agency. And we were with the head of the police department, the police chief of San Luis County. And so that tunnel's real. Don't believe anything else that you're hearing, because it's all lies. That tunnel is real, but I believe that our federal government helped build that tunnel. And it was being and possibly still being used for nefarious activity.
Are they denying that it exists still, or they are acting like they never knew that it existed before?
They're acting like they never knew it existed, nor does it exist right now.
Oh my gosh. And to your point, you said recently, one of the things that adds a lot of credibility to that for me is when you say that there are fiber optics laid through it. So this is a sophisticated tunnel. This is not this is not an army crawl tunnel where you're going through dirt. It seems to be more of a more high-tech, sophisticated tunnel. Is that right?
Well, when you have a tunnel that's 25 feet under the ground, that's over 3+ football fields long, it starts in a warehouse in Mexico, goes underneath a highly sophisticated gate system that's heavily trafficked by the Border Patrol with sensors and everything else. It goes underneath there, goes underneath a residential community, 25 feet underneath the houses, takes a left-hand turn, and then comes up inside of another home in that community, by the way, that the cartel have to have purchased. Again, we're going to look at the deeds and things like that. We're investigating this currently a little bit further into this, that I can't get into some of the logistics here and the information on this call. But yeah, and then it has fiber optics. It has a rail system. It has ventilation, air conditioning. I mean, like the tunnel, fortified walls, ceilings. So there's no way that our own government didn't know about this. Seismic activity. We're looking into a lot of things to investigate with this tunnel. By the way, we believe we've also uncovered 2 more of these tunnels. I'm not going to tell you locations and things like that, because we are really delving into this to bring truth to the American people. When is our documentary coming out? Okay, that's a great question. I'm going to be honest with everybody. We've run out of funding. So we have a whole bunch of information and we need to finish the documentary, but quite frankly, we've run out of the funding for the documentary. So if you guys are really interested in seeing this documentary completed, please donate. When I tell you I'm out here fighting every day and it's very difficult, everybody on my team, they're all volunteers. You know, some of these individuals honestly deserve to get paid. They have mortgages to pay. I'm a $0 CEO. I don't take any money. As a matter of fact, I'm burning through my own personal bank account to save America because I believe in America and I'm a mom. I love this country and I want a free country for my children and my grandchildren and those children. And if somebody doesn't stand up and fight and speak up, even through all of the adversity, you know, Kristen, as you know, I've been called a bigot. I've been called a racist. My favorite is a white supremacist. That's one of my favorite ones that I've been called because I'm a Jew. On my mother's side. So, you know, you know what? Labels don't really matter to me. I've got really big shoulders. The only person I answer to is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And, you know, until my dying last breath, I'm going to be fighting out here. Even if they come to, I haven't done anything wrong, but, you know, underneath this regime, if they come with handcuffs and try to drag me off, I'll still be kicking and screaming and fighting for America, even from my jail cell, if that happens. So
you will.
I'm under investigation by the FBI right now. Why? Because I'm a J6er. I'm actually, you know, Kristen, that would be interesting. We need to put that up on our website. Let me get it clearance through a attorney friend of mine. But everybody, I'm going to make this announcement right now.
I was going to say, I don't know anything about this. Yes, please, let's do this. Tell us. Wow.
There's a document, and I have it on my phone. And the J6 committee, and I'm in really good company. So, and I found out about this because somebody did some research on me. And they're like, Christie, did you know that the Senate and the J6 committee and Pelosi and Schumer you're on a list where they're gathering intel and information on you and watching you, and you're part of the J6 the investigation and all of this stuff. And by the way, the FBI did show up on my 80-year-old dad's door. But I have a father. I am right off the old block of my father. He's from Kentucky. He's old school. And I can't tell you guys what my father told the FBI to do and where to go.
Well, we'd like to see that documentary. We'd like to see that footage. We would all pay to see that footage. Too bad we can't.
Yeah, my daddy called me and he was like, Christie, the FBI just showed up in the driveway. And I said, well, Dad, did they come to the door? He goes, hell no, I didn't let them get to the door. And I'm like, oh God, Dad, what did you tell them? And he's like, well, you know, honey, he said, I used a couple bad words. I'm really sorry about that. But I told them that they needed to go investigate the real criminals. And that's in the White House and blah, 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 blah. And leave my daughter alone, who's fighting for this nation and upholding the Constitution. So,
wow.
You know, don't you just love dads?
Good for him. Wow. I think you need to do a Father's Day special and have your dad on.
Well, you know, the reason why I don't want to show any photographs of any of my family members.
That's
Kristen,
fair.
That's fair. You know, they are under threat. I'm under threat. I have 24-hour security, as you know, because I get threats constantly. I have bounties on my head from the cartel. And I'm going to be honest with you, Kristen, wouldn't this government love to shut me up and shut me down?
Oh, big time.
So I travel with security, and it's for a reason, and I'm protected 24 hours a day. Unfortunately, that's my life that I live now. I'm fighting for you. I do it because of you. Do you think I really like that? No, you have no privacy ever. You're constantly on the road. You're constantly fighting. It's an uphill battle, but I'm going to do it because I love you guys.
You know, we'll look for some other questions, but so because we had this January 6th conversation, what do you think about now that some of the footage is being released and apparently Tucker has hours and hours of footage? I've seen a few leaks here and there of footage of policemen standing outside saying they set us up, being overwhelmed, saying that they weren't called in earlier, that they just got there afterwards, and they even know. But I'm assuming, like we all assume, that it more will come out that will be obvious of what a setup this was. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I worked in DC, and so I had a place up in Alexandria, Virginia. And when I was asked to go speak on January 5th, and then also to be with the President of the United States on January 6th, I decided to go in a little over. I think I was there like 8 days prior to, or 9 days prior to, and I was staying in my place. And I drove around Washington DC with my security team. And that we filmed a whole lot of stuff. This, now you got to remember, this is over a week prior to any of this stuff taking place. And the videos that we also have, it shows the mayor bringing in busloads of Antifa and Black Lives Matter with Trump gear on, and et cetera. This was 100% an internal operation. 100% an internal operation, I believe, helped orchestrated by our own CIA, to be honest with you, because this reeks right out of their playbook of the CIA and how they operate and how they do missions around the world to destabilize governments, to also bring in and usher in a certain narrative that they want to do. It's been utilized before. This isn't the first time. And when I spoke both on January 5th, I spoke twice that day. I spoke with the Black Robe Regiment somewhere around the 12:30, 1 o'clock time frame. And then, and by the way, if anybody out there wants to hear my speech, you could probably search it and find it. There was articles written up on my speech specifically, because the speech that I gave in the afternoon, I think it was around 6:30. It was starting to drizzle, and there was hundreds of, there were so many people there. And, my speech called for a revolution. I called for a revolution in that speech, and that speech got a whole lot of attention by a lot of the left wing. But it was in the context of our foundation of our nation. It was in the context of how we have to have a revolution when our government starts preying on its own citizens and it becomes corrupt. And we can do it legally. We can do it peacefully. I'm not a proponent of any kind of violence whatsoever. That's their MO, not ours. And so we have a constitution and we can do something incredible, but we have to be unified. And I'm going to be honest with you, Kristen, J6 committee was developed for the sole purpose. It wasn't about Trump. Everyone wants to make this about President Trump. It was for the American people's benefit to stop being unified, to be afraid. That if we go out into the streets and protest, that we're going to be labeled terrorists. They're going to come to our door, knock on our door, and haul us away in handcuffs, and we're going to lose everything. Yeah. That's what this was about. It was, again, a playbook out of the communist playbook about how you silence the majority and stop people from rising up and doing their constitutional duty.
Unfortunately, it was relatively effective. Unfortunately, and we don't even have to wait for Tucker. Anybody that was paying attention, you could see the people filing in a single file line, picking up trash cans, putting trash away, and begging the security guards. The security had the doors wide open, holding them open, and people were saying, "What are you doing?" Most of us have been on tours of the Capitol, at least as American citizens. The security is intense. These people were just flooding in. They were holding the doors open. They wouldn't hold the door open for you and your child. They're visiting. They would search you before you went in. It was obvious what was happening, and unfortunately it intimidated a lot of people. That
it did. And so I'm going to just briefly comment on that, and then I'm going to get to Lisa's question. So Lisa, just give me just a second. I'm going to answer your question on that. So I've been in, because of the work that I used to do. I've been in both the Pentagon, and I've been into the Capitol building, and I've been underground where most people can't even go into the Capitol building. And I'm here to tell you right now, there is no way anybody can get into the building of the Capitol. None, zero, dot, none, stop, point. You cannot enter the Capitol building without somebody from inside giving an order to the Capitol Police to open up those doors and to allow you in, period. It cannot happen. That those doors are fortified. They are bulletproof. They are seriously shut down and locked down. Same thing with the windows. So you can't get in that building unless you are given the order to the police, to the Capitol Police, to open up the doors. And that order had to come from Pelosi herself. So what do I think about the train derailments, food processing plants burning down, chemtrails? So the train derailments, food processing plants, 100%. Now, I don't have facts to back this up. So therefore I'm going to give this little tidbit. Okay. But this is my own personal opinion. but it's from my professional standpoint. So I believe wholeheartedly that all of the food processing plants that you've seen, also, by the way, you forgot 73 miles, around 73 miles from that train derailment was also a steel plant that went up in flames, by the way. And so all of the train derailments that you're seeing, all of the food processing and the steel plants and all of that, if you look at historical data over the course of the last 30 years, let's just go 30 years, how many have we had? And all of a sudden, the last couple of years, these are purposeful. I believe that they are being set on purpose. I believe that our own government is probably involved again. And it's a part of the globalist agenda. It's part of destabilizing America from an economic standpoint, from a food perspective, everything, right? Food supply chains. It makes prices go up. There's a lot of things that are involved. It's to collapse America in the way that we live. As far as the chemtrails are concerned, I've heard this debate a lot about chemical trails and manipulation of weather. I'm not going to really speak so much to that. We're being poisoned without chemtrails, right? We've got so many. You've got Monsanto, you've got Smithfield ham. And by the way, if anybody out there buys Smithfield products, they're owned by the Chinese Communist Party, by the way. Did you know that? Smithfield's owned by China. So you really need to start looking at who owns the food that you're eating and putting into your body. What companies own these plants? What governments or what companies own these different types of plants? I don't even buy Smithfield anymore because I don't want anything that China has. They're poisoning us. Why do you think cancer rates and all that stuff have gone up exponentially? It's because of the poison that's in our food, in our water that we drink, everything.
And so many of the big companies are buying up the small, organic, natural, branded companies. So you feel like, oh, this is a good company. And then you look at it and you go, oh, Coca-Cola, owned by Coca-Cola. Whoops.
Coca-Cola is a bad company. They're a woke company. We really need to start, America, please, we have to understand there's power also in our wallet. And every time, and I know you're like, oh my God, but I just love this. I like the taste of this, or it's convenient. But every single time you buy from Amazon, from Walmart, from Target, from Starbucks, you go to Wells Fargo, you bank with Bank of America, I could go on and on. You're funding the demise of your own country. Do you not realize that? So you really do need to have an alternative, and you need to think about that. We've posted a lot of companies and celebrities and things who are anti-American. You need to go and do your research. Actually, we'll put that on our resource page if it's not already there. Carol Gates Miller, Christie, do you think the illegal asylum seekers are being paid to commit arson? No, I don't think so. These are a little bit more sophisticated. Train derailments and plants and steel plants and things like that, food processing centers, there's security. You have to know what you're doing to do that. So no, I don't think that illegals are being paid. But I will tell you what, that's a great segment, Kristen. Let's talk about the illegals and the cost to our school systems.
And to our healthcare. Dallas, where I live, is talking about opening it up for anybody illegal, everybody to pay all of their healthcare going forward. I mean,
so I want everybody to, this is a great action item for everybody who's going to watch this and listen to this. Can you go do a drive-by? And you like that language, right? Let's do a drive-by.
This sounds like a spy activity. I'm down. I'm writing it down.
Let's go I want everybody to go to your community schools, to your high schools and your junior high schools. And I would love to get photographs and then also just a really brief, quick description. If you've noticed that you have more of these temporary trailers that have been put up than last year and the year before that, before and after. Because what you're seeing all over the country and all of our schools is because of Biden's policies, open door policies, we're seeing schools having to add multiple new units.
Trailers. You mean like outside classrooms?
Yes,
like
outside
classrooms.
I would be really interested to see in each one of your guys' community what you're starting to notice. And by the way, this impacts you. This is your hard-earned money, right? Your taxpayer funded dollars we are already paying billions and billions of dollars to these illegals. We're giving them food, clothing, housing, credit cards, shoes. I mean, you name it, we're giving it to them. Hotel stays at $500 a night. And then once they get out of that system, we're giving them freebies and housing and all of these things. You're going to start seeing inexpensive housing popping up that your dollars are paying for. Now we're paying for their school. We're paying for their medical. This is designed to break America's back financially, because you cannot sustain this. And so please, everybody, go to your schools, start taking photographs of the outbuildings and seeing how many new outbuildings are being put up there. I'd really be curious to know.
Interesting. Because they're getting so overwhelmed because they have so many new illegal students.
Yeah. They're the influx of students. I mean, all of these children, they have to go to school. Your school lunches. I mean, this is incredibly dangerous precedence, because you're displacing. We already have one of the worst education systems in the world. We're a laughing joke. I think the last time I checked, we're like number 33, 34. It might even be more in the world. We are being outpaced by other countries. And that's dangerous, because we're not going to have the skill sets that we need. And now teachers are going to have to work even harder, because these children don't even speak our language. They're not as educated, especially some from the third world countries. They're put into a classroom maybe in fourth grade where they actually only have a first grade level reading. So what do you think that does? It's going to take away from your child from learning. And it's really just quite that simple. So America, parents out there, you better care. This impacts you and your children. Again, that's the reason why I'm an advocate of exiting the school system, the propagating evil school system with the teachers unions, and starting your own community educational co-ops. We're going to have more information about that. How do you get involved to start a community educational co-op where you can exit out of the evil anti-American teacher union, Department of Education?
That I know we're looking to wrap up, but when you talked about that, it reminded me of a recent stat I saw out of Chicago, which I can't quote the exact number, but it was a pitiful amount of high school graduates that actually had a base level of knowledge, so the Chicago stat makes me think about Mayor Lightfoot. What do you think? There's a blurb of good news, right? A blurb of good news. Yes, at least we got that one. She was long overdue.
It's thank goodness. But you know what? Here's another thing I really want everybody to do. I love this. This is about you guys being the citizen reporter for Women Fighting for America. I want you also to take pictures and photographs. If you see an influx of illegals in hotel rooms, if you see an influx of illegals in your community in a Walmart, I would love to have those photographs. Please send them. And with your permission, you need to tell us that we have your permission to use those photographs in the email that you're going to send us to womenfightingforamerica@protonmail.com. That's womenfightingforamerica@protonmail.com. Send your photographs with your permission to use those photographs. And we're going to start posting them on our social media and our website, because America, you are the eyes and the ears and the heartbeat of your own community. I can't be everywhere. Kristen can't be everywhere. My team can't be everywhere. But you, part of Women Fighting for America, can be everywhere. So please send us all of that information.
Fantastic. We all get to do detective work. I love it.
That's exactly right. And please start engaging with your local sheriffs. Find out if they're constitutionally based or not. Find out if they're going to stand up and protect you and your rights. And the only way you're going to really find that out is if you engage your sheriffs. All you have to do is make a phone call to your local sheriff's department and say, hey, there's a whole group of us, try to get, 10, 20, 30 people together and invite your sheriffs to come and speak at your group. Women Fighting for America will help you host that, whatever you need to do. But that's one of the key things to start.
So Christie,
there was a question I thought back. Did I miss a question? Anyway, we're going to continue to give you guys this kind of information. We're going to try to do this at least every other week. Again, Women Fighting for America has to raise money at this point. And I hate asking people for money. My team knows that I'm like the worst person to ask anybody for a dime. but I can't fund it all, right? I can't do it. I wish I could. I wish somehow I had this incredible windfall and I was born like, Zuckerbucks or Bezos and all of these billionaires who are funding every program on the left possible. But I promise you guys, when you partner with Women Fighting for America, you're going to get truth. You're going to get frontline information. You're going to get information in the field. You're going to be able to be part of the citizen's voice. There's so many things that we can do. We can save children's lives. We can rescue women from the sex trade industry. Operation Archangel is that arm. So there's so much that we can do, but we can't do it without your support. I talked about this before, and Kristen, this happened in your state, and it's just so disgusting for me to realize in America where we are with how we think about our giving. And there's a lot of organizations out there who are grifters. There's a lot of organizations who have serious overhead. They pay exorbitant amounts of salaries and things like that. I promise you guys, we have full disclosure. We're none of that. We operate on very slim margins. So much so that I'm actually supplementing most of the income to do what we do. And I'm not a wealthy person. And so I do it because I love you. But when we have the mindset, Kristen, that a stray dog, and I love animals, by the way, I grew up with animals. I rope ride, horseback ride. I have dogs right now, cats, love them all. But when we put the value on a stray animal over the value of a child's life, there's something fundamentally wrong with America. When you can raise $2 million in a 3-day period of time to help stray dogs that were left at the border by illegals, but I can't raise $2,000 to save a child, there's something wrong. And I know that it's a sacrifice. Believe me, I sacrifice every day, guys. But you know what? Think about this. If you could give $20 or $25 and become a monthly, by the way, we need monthly support. I love that one-time donation, but honestly, we need continued ongoing monthly support. You can write a check. I understand a lot of you don't like PayPal. I've been getting tons of that. Venmo, PayPal, we hate them. We have Stripe. We can use Stripe. You can write a check. However you want it. We're also doing the CashApp. I'm looking into that right now. But they're the tools right now that we have to deal with. I don't have problems with Venmo and PayPal right now because God has my covering, my six. But we need you to be a repetitive partner with Women Fighting for America. 100% of your money, 100%. goes to the fight to save America. It goes to the fight to save children. And I'm not a grifter, even though a lot of people love to call me grifters. I've been here for 3 years. I'm in this fight. You can go to my website again. Go look at the endorsements. Kristen, can you read like 2 endorsements really quick?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Go to the website really quick. Read 2 of the endorsements.
These
guys,
endorsements are incredible.
I've been out there. People know that I put my mouth, my money, and my feet where I say it is. And I'm proven time and time again to stand in the face of all of those people calling me all of these things. And they're gone, by the way. They're on the wayside because they are the ones who are being grifters. I love my nation and I love my country. Every single person in my family has served in the military, including my son. My son is one of the bravest men I know. I don't talk about my son very often because, again, I don't, I'm trying to protect him, but that protection is going to have to come off soon because my son's my hero. And there's only like right now 45. I wish there were 300-400 people listening to this podcast right now. My son's my hero. He's 23. He just turned 23 years of age. And at 21, he stood up for you in his uniform as an airman, in security forces. My son was going through Raven School. And if you don't know what a Raven is, it's a very difficult school. You don't just get to go to that school. It's the elite of the elite. It's kind of like the SEALs and the Green Berets. And my son stood up and protected the Constitution at 21 years of age and 22. And I looked at him and I was like, what a brave kid. What a brave young man. My son just wrote a book, Kristen. Can you believe that? He just wrote
you read the beginning of it to us the other night, and I can't stop thinking about it. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, for him to stand up and do this, and then for him to be punished physically put in isolation, all the things that he's been through, and then to be able to talk about it. I mean, it's difficult. As an adult, it's difficult for me to talk about what I went through with my daughter. For him to have gone through that and to stand up to the military and then to write a book about it is extraordinary. I hope you will promote it. I hope you will share it. You still seem iffy about it, which I understand, but I really hope that you bring it into your Women Fighting for America family, and I hope that you give him the audience. I know we've got security, and I know there are concerns, but I feel like for him to be so brave and to do this, I feel like his message needs to be heard. We just talked about our education system. Our education system is lacking in building children of courage and conviction. And so I feel like it would just be an incredible opportunity for all of us to get to hear about him.
Yeah, and I might, if everyone on this call indulges me, I may just read the summary of his book. You know, again, this young man is my personal hero. I look up to him, and I hope someday that I can be like him, because he's just an incredible young man. So if you want to read a couple of those endorsements,
let me read Michael Flynn's. So General Michael Flynn, after all of what he's been through, you all have followed that and know he's a good friend of Christie's, but more importantly, he believes in her. So his endorsement is, Christie Hutcherson is among the bravest and most courageous people I have ever met. I mean, think about all the people General Flynn has met. She is fearless in her pursuit to expose the massive corruption and trafficking of human lives and illegal narcotics entering illegally through the United States southern border. She is a singular and fearless force to be reckoned with, and daily makes a positive difference in the lives of millions of Americans. Without her expert skills and strong leadership, the United States of America would be even less safe, and that says a lot. I mean, wow. Okay, let's see. Let me pick another. You know what? I'm going to pick, since we've been talking about Texas, I'm going to pick the very cool Sid Miller, Commissioner of Texas Department of Agriculture. This man is awesome. If you guys don't know, he wears a big old hat. He's got a business card that's about this long, that's got this cool seal on it. He's like the real deal you want to meet in Texas.
He's a cowboy. He's a real cowboy, actually.
He is. He's awesome. Okay, so Sid's short and sweet, to the point. Commissioner Miller, here you go. Christie Hutcherson is a true patriot. The extraordinary service which she has consistently provided throughout her distinguished career has now become even more essential than ever. A great force for good in America, our country benefits tremendously from her invaluable accomplishments. Christie's generous acts of service are, for the USA, exceed all words and are too numerous to count.
Yeah, it's pretty humbling. You know, so everybody out there, you know, when I ask for money or I ask for your time, talents, and treasures, it's because we're fighting here really hard. We're on the front lines fighting for you and your children and your children's children. If not us, then who? You know, I don't think your federal government or your military at this time is coming to save you. Unfortunately, there's a lot of really good men and women in the military. But when Obama left, just before Obama left office, he literally replaced all of the top brass, retired everybody early, replaced them, and put in his own little personal army of woke generals. These woke generals did not get replaced by President Trump, which was one of the biggest mistakes President Trump actually did. And so these guys are in control of the military as we know it. And there's a lot of brave men and women out there in the military who unfortunately do take these orders and they don't stand up. And there's very few who actually have the courage and the strength and the fortitude to stand up. And that's what we are called to do. We have to live fearlessly in this hour. We have to stand up and we have to push back against this tyranny, because if you don't, we will not have an America, and you will be under massive control of communist regimes. And I am going to read the summary. My son's book is called The Price of Conviction. 23 years old now, The Price of Conviction. And his book is a compelling memoir of a young airman's journey through the United States Air Force and the challenges he faced during the COVID-19 pandemic, from refusing to take the COVID-19 vaccine to facing the consequences of his decision. The author's story is a powerful reminder of the importance of standing up for one's beliefs and staying true to oneself. The book not only explores the complexities of military life, but also sheds light on the struggles faced by many during a global pandemic. With honesty and vulnerability, the author shares his personal experiences and reflections on freedom, duty, and the power of conviction. The Price of Conviction is a must-read for anyone seeking to understand the impact of COVID-19 on the military and the personal struggles of those who stand up for what they believe in. The Price of Conviction captures the idea that standing up for one's beliefs can come with consequences. Freedom, this is me ad-libbing, because freedom's not free, everybody out there. So standing up for one's beliefs can come with consequences, which is a central theme of the book. It also hints at the idea that sometimes, in order to achieve something meaningful, you may need to sacrifice something else in return. My 23-year-old son's book. So I'll let you know when it's released. If anybody out there wants to get a hold of it, once it's published, we will get you guys a copy. And, maybe I'll get him to sign it. If you're interested in myself.
Oh, yeah. All these incredible people that are, I'm watching with their comments that are informed, and they need signed copies for sure. For sure. And, you talk about how few stood up and the fact that he did this. I mean, I assumed falsely that there was a large percentage of the military that was standing up and saying, I'm not going to get these vaccines. And I know. But I asked one of the a retired lieutenant that was very much in the know, lieutenant colonel, I guess he is, and he said, no, it's a small percentage, like 1 to maybe 3%.
It is
shocking.
It is a very, very small percent. We had, I think he's right. I think it was less than 2.8% of all the military who actually stood up. But those are the ones that they wanted to weed out, because they actually are those who would stand up and defend and protect against 2 foreign and domestic threats. That's in the oath that they took. You are to stand up and protect those, the Constitution. In the military, I think that they forgot that the oath isn't to the President of the United States, the commanding officer. The oath is actually to the Constitution of the United States of America. And yes, the commanding officer, the chief commanding officer, is the President of the United States. But just like with anything, the Constitution supersedes that. And when that general or that executive chief decides to subvert the Constitution and give unconstitutional mandates and order, that young officer, that military personnel are not to uphold unconstitutional orders, period. And I think that that's one of the things that the military men and women have forgotten, or they're not being taught. But my son was one of those less than 2.8%, we'll just say less than 3%. He's a less than 3%er. But isn't that in history? Less than 3% stand up and save the 97%. So everybody out there, can you be a 3%er? Join Women Fighting for America. Be a 3%er. I don't know about you, but I think I'd rather be on that side of history.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for all you're doing, Christie.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the information. We are fortunate to have you.
God bless you guys. We're going to try to do this again every other week. Please sign up. Text FIGHT to 91776. Text FIGHT to 91776. You will get the newsletter. You will know exactly what you need. We're going to give lots of information, lots of pertinent information. We're going to start having our bi-weekly meetings where you're going to be able to ask the experts, not just myself. I will have people on like General Flynn. I'll have people on like Tennypen, Dr. Tennypen, and Mikovich and Tom Rentz, and just there's going to be too numerous to name. Mike Lindell. I might even invite Eric Trump on Cash Patel. So Devin Nunes. So you're going to want to join this newsletter, and you're going to want to get involved. So thank you guys so much. Kristen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thank you, WFFA team, because without all of you, the unsung heroes behind the face, me, I couldn't do what I do. You're actually the heroes in my book. So thank you so much.